In this video, we're going to look at how you can spend a little bit extra time crafting your quiz to include the feedback that you would have handwritten on the work had it have been on a piece of paper. So here's an example. How many sides does a hexagon have? We've already indicated to the system that the correct answer is 6, and so the system will mark it and the students will get the correct answer, 0 or 1 marks for their trouble. But now what we want to do is give the students a little bit more than that. So we can click Add Answer Feedback. And then we can give different feedback for the incorrect answers as for the correct answers. So maybe for the incorrect answers, where the student hasn't known that hex means 6, maybe my feedback could be something along the lines of this. I'll give them a T. My instruction is to write out the common prefixes so they can learn it. But I want them to allow me to see that they've done that. So maybe I've asked them to upload a photo to Google Classroom that they've done that as well. And then just to help them out, I've given them the prefixes as part of my answer, and now they can make that little post-it and they can stick it to their wall and they can send me a photo. So they'll have done their green pen improvement time and hopefully learnt something from it, a little bit more from that feedback than they would have done by just learning that they got 0 out of 1. The purpose of this particular target being done at home is because they have done the quiz, presumably at home, maybe as some homework, and they'll have received their feedback potentially immediately from me if the entire quiz was multiple choice and system marked, and therefore it might be that they could be getting on with their green pen improvement time immediately after finishing the quiz. They don't have to wait to come to class and for me to invite them to do that on a piece of paper in front of them. They can just get on with it as soon as they get their feedback. For their correct answers, we can go with a star with that. So maybe I want to tell them well done, but because this feedback is just going to be written one time, and it's going to go out to multiple students, maybe I want to spend a little bit more time writing my comment than maybe I would if I was just writing it by hand on a piece of paper. So maybe I could go to the trouble of explaining to them why it's good that they knew the subject-specific vocabulary and why that's going to be an advantage to them in the future, maybe to encourage them to continue to learn their subject-specific vocabulary. So I'll save that, and there's the feedback. Now, this feedback is actually going to be displayed to me as well when I'm marking the questions. So here's the test that we've looked at before. So I'm marking the question, define the farad. This is the student's answer here, but this is what I've chosen to written in the feedback box. And so there is the correct answer, which I wrote as feedback for the student, but actually it's forming my own mark scheme as well. So for exam style questions, it's probably a good idea in the first line of your feedback to actually paste the mark scheme with the number of marks, and then not only is that informative for the student, but I can use it myself when I'm doing the marking. And then if I wanted to include some additional advice to the students, I can underneath. And in fact, if I want to do bespoke feedback for any particular response, I can click on the pencil there and add extra feedback in addition to the generic set that I've already included. What I found is that by taking a lot of time, the one on screen in front of you isn't particularly exemplary in terms of detail, but on some of the quizzes that I've made, I've spent a lot of time crafting the stars and the T's for each one, and I feel that the feedback that the students are getting is much richer than what I would have given them if I'd handwritten it on each piece of paper, because I write the comment one time and know that it will go out to multiple students. I can be richer about it, and I know that this is done in lots of departments anyway in terms of coded feedback. But when you do coded feedback in class, the student often then has to copy it into their book themselves, which eats up time in the green pen improvement time, and it needs to all fit on one PowerPoint slide so you can display it to the class. I find that this works particularly well. Okay, that'll do for this video. Have a look at the next one to have a look at how we can process the data once everything has been marked, and we want to kind of review how the class performed and maybe take the data and put it in our markbooks.